Picture this. You're 13 years old, standing in the Grand Hall of Windsor Castle, and every single person in the room is either plotting your death or calculating how your demise might benefit them personally. The year is 1483, and you've just been crowned King of England. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Now, try not to get murdered before tea time. Welcome to your life as Edward V, where being royalty means you're basically wearing a target that says, "Please assassinate me," in fancy medieval lettering. Your father just died, your uncle's giving you looks that would make a hungry wolf nervous, and your biggest political decision so far has been choosing between porridge or bread for breakfast. Spoiler alert, it doesn't really matter what you pick because you probably won't live long enough to digest it. Your first clue that something's wrong comes during your coronation planning. Instead of the usual excitement about crowns and ceremonies, everyone keeps whispering about legitimate succession and protecting the realm. That's medieval speak for we're about to have ourselves a good old-fashioned power struggle, and you're the prize. Your Uncle Richard, Duke of Gloucester, appointed himself Lord Protector faster than you can say family betrayal. He's got that charming smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. You know, the kind that makes you want to check your food for poison and sleep with one eye open. "Don't worry, nephew," he says, patting your shoulder with what feels suspiciously like the grip of someone measuring you for a coffin. "I'm here to protect you." Right, because nothing says protection like moving you to the Tower of London for your own safety. The Tower, that notorious vacation spot where people check in but don't exactly check out. Your advisors assure you it's temporary, just until the political situation stabilizes. Sure. And maybe next they'll tell you that your uncle's just borrowing the crown to polish it. Your younger brother Richard joins you in your luxurious tower accommodations. At least you're not facing this alone. Though having company in what's essentially medieval house arrest isn't exactly comforting. The guards are friendly enough, but there's something unsettling about the way they avoid making eye contact. Professional courtesy, they call it. You call it the look of people who know something you don't. The days blur together in your stone-walled paradise. Wake up, eat breakfast that someone else has tasted first, stare out barred windows at the London you're supposedly ruling, and wonder why your uncle hasn't visited lately. Your brother tries to stay optimistic, suggesting maybe this is all just a misunderstanding. You admire his faith, but you've been paying attention during those boring council meetings. Misunderstandings in royal politics tend to end with people having mysterious accidents. Meanwhile, outside your tower suite, the political machinery of England is working overtime. Your uncle's been busy, really busy. Turns out he's discovered some rather convenient evidence that your parents' marriage was invalid, making you and your brother illegitimate. How incredibly fortunate for him. It's amazing how these legal technicalities just appear right when someone needs them most. The Parliament, those bastions of integrity, vote to declare you illegitimate faster than you can say political convenience. Your Uncle Richard is crowned king, Richard III with all the ceremony you were supposed to have. From your window you can probably hear the celebrations. Nothing quite like a family celebration where you're the guest of honor at your own political funeral. Your supporters, what few remain, are either fleeing the country or developing sudden cases of amnesia about ever knowing you. Loyalty, it turns out, has a surprisingly short shelf life when faced with the business end of a sword. The few brave souls who might speak up for you are discovering that supporting a deposed boy king is hazardous to their health. But here's where the story gets really interesting, because being a prisoner in the tower isn't just about waiting around for your inevitable fate. You're about to become part of one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, a puzzle that will fascinate people for centuries. The question isn't just what happened to you, It's why your story became the foundation for one of the most enduring legends in English history. Your meals start arriving with less fanfare and fewer tasters. The servants who once bowed deeply now give quick nods before hurrying away, like they're afraid prolonged eye contact might be contagious. Your brother notices it too, though he pretends not to. Nothing quite says your political stock is plummeting, like staff members treating you like yesterday's mutton. The tower's other residents give you increasingly wide berths. Even the ravens seem to be avoiding your section of the grounds, which is either a bad omen or just smart bird politics. You're starting to understand why they call this place a fortress. It's not just keeping enemies out, it's keeping inconvenient people in. Your uncle's visits become rarer than honest politicians. When he does show up, the conversations are masterpieces of saying absolutely nothing while sounding tremendously important. "How are you adjusting to your temporary quarters?" he asks, like you're staying at some rustic country inn instead of England's most famous prison. The word temporary is doing more heavy lifting than a medieval peasant during harvest season. Letters from the outside world mysteriously stop arriving. Your mother, who should be moving heaven and earth to secure your release, has gone suspiciously quiet. Either she's planning the rescue of the century, or she's discovered that opposing your uncle is about as healthy as swimming in a piranha pond. You're hoping for the former, but suspecting the latter. The guards start changing shifts more frequently, and you notice they're all new faces. The familiar ones who used to sneak you extra bread or share gossip about court intrigue have vanished like morning mist. These new guards have the dead-eyed efficiency of people who follow orders without asking inconvenient questions. Professional, you might call it. Terrifying would be more accurate. Your brother develops a cough that won't go away. It's probably just the damp London air. But in your current situation, every sniffle feels ominous. The tower's physician visits less frequently, claiming he's needed elsewhere. Apparently, your health isn't quite the priority it used to be when you were actually expected to live long enough to rule. Sleep becomes elusive, as stone walls echo with sounds you can't quite identify. Footsteps in corridors that should be empty. Whispered conversations that stop when you try to listen. Doors opening and closing at hours, when decent people should be dreaming of sheep instead of plotting against children. The tower has always been full of ghosts, but lately it feels like they're recruiting. Your correspondence privileges get quietly revoked. No more letters to supporters, no more messages to potential allies, no more contact with anyone who might remember you exist. It's remarkable how quickly a person can be erased from the world without actually disappearing. You're becoming a non-person while still breathing, which is an impressive feat of political engineering. The few books in your chamber start feeling like old friends, since human company is becoming scarce as dragon sightings. Reading about ancient kings and their glorious reigns feels increasingly like fantasy literature. Those rulers got to die heroically in battle or peacefully in their beds surrounded by grieving subjects. You're getting the discount version of royal mortality. Your brother starts talking about escape plans with the desperate optimism of someone who's watched too many minstrel tales. Tunnels, disguises, loyal servants, all the classic elements of adventures that work brilliantly in stories and catastrophically in real life. Still, planning gives him hope, and hope is about the only luxury you can afford in your current accommodations. But the most unsettling change isn't what's happening. It's what's not happening. No trial, no formal charges, no public explanation of why the rightful King of England is living in what amounts to a very expensive jail cell. Your uncle's playing the long game, and you're starting to realize that in this particular match, pawns don't usually make it to the other side of the board. The silence from the outside world grows thicker than London fog, and you begin to understand that your story is transforming from political drama into something far more sinister. And that's where the trail goes cold, vanishing into the murky depths of history like smoke through stone walls. One day you're there, the next day you're not, leaving behind only questions that have kept historians arguing for over 500 years. Did your uncle finally decide that living nephews were too inconvenient? Did you escape into obscurity, spending your days as anonymous peasants watching other people wear your crown? Or did something else entirely happen in those tower walls that summer? The truth is, nobody knows, and maybe that's the most fascinating part of your story. You became more famous in death than you ever were in life, spawning countless theories, investigations, and enough conspiracy theories to make modern internet forums jealous. Your disappearance launched 1,000 books, inspired Shakespeare's most famous villain, and turned your uncle into history's ultimate pantomime baddie. But here's the real kicker. In trying to erase you from history, your enemies accidentally made you immortal. Every missing person poster in medieval England, every unsolved mystery, every time someone wonders what really happened behind closed doors in the corridors of power, that's your legacy. You didn't get to rule England, but you got something better. You became the eternal question mark that proves sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that never get an ending. Not bad for a kid who just wanted to survive tea time.